Starting our list at number 10, we have the 1958 Edsel Ranger. The Edsel Ranger was Ford's ambitious attempt to fill a gap in their lineup between Ford and Mercury brands. Launched in September 1957 as a 1958 model, it immediately became one of the biggest commercial failures in automotive history. The Ranger featured a 361 cubic inch V8 producing 303 horsepower, paired with Ford's new Teletouch automatic transmission mounted in the steering wheel hub. It had a 118-inch wheelbase and weighed approximately 3,800 pounds. The problem? That controversial vertical grille that people compared to everything from a horse collar to something far less flattering. The Teletouch transmission was unreliable and confusing to operate. The car was also overpriced for what it offered, and it arrived just as America entered a recession. Production lasted only 3 model years before Ford pulled the plug, losing an estimated $250 million. The Edsel became synonymous with corporate failure. At number 9, we have the 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. Mercury introduced the Turnpike Cruiser as their flagship sedan, designed specifically for the new interstate highway system. It was supposed to represent the future of long-distance highway travel. The Turnpike Cruiser came with a 368 cubic inch V8 engine producing 290 horsepower. It featured a 122-inch wheelbase and weighed over 4,200 pounds. Mercury equipped it with a retractable rear window, a power front seat with memory function, and an unusual dual-curve windshield. While innovative on paper, the execution was problematic. That reverse slant rear window collected dirt and reduced rear visibility. The complex electrical systems were unreliable. The car was expensive, fuel inefficient, and overly complicated. Coming in at number 8 is the 1954 to 1955 Hudson Hornet. Now this might surprise you because the early Hudson Hornets from 1951 to 1953 were legendary race cars. But after Hudson merged with Nash to form American Motors Corporation in 1954, everything changed. The 1954 to 1955 Hudson Hornet retained the 308 cubic inch inline-6 engine, producing 170 horsepower. It had a 122-inch wheelbase and weighed approximately 3,600 pounds. The problem was that AMC basically rebadged a Nash body and slapped Hudson badges on it. The distinctive step-down design that made earlier Hornets so special was gone. The new version was essentially a Nash ambassador with Hudson trim. It lost its racing heritage, its unique engineering, and its identity. True Hudson fans rejected these cars as imposters. By 1957, the Hudson name was discontinued entirely. These late Hornets represented the sad end of an independent American automaker. Number 7. 1957 to 1959 Rambler Rebel. American Motors created the Rambler Rebel as a performance version of their economy-focused Rambler lineup. It was a strange concept from the start, trying to make a hot rod out of an economy car. The 1957 Rebel featured a 327 cubic inch V8 engine producing 255 horsepower, installed in a car with a 108-inch wheelbase weighing about 3,300 pounds. Later versions used a 250 cubic inch inline-6, producing only 215 horsepower. The Rebel was genuinely quick in 1957, but it confused the market. Buyers shopping for performance cars weren't interested in a Rambler, while traditional Rambler customers didn't want to pay extra for performance they'd never use. The styling was awkward. It looked like someone stuffed a V8 into an economy sedan, which is exactly what it was. Build quality suffered from the rushed development.
AMC sold fewer than 1,500 Rebels in 1957, making it a massive flop. Number 6. 1958 to 1960 Lincoln Continental. Lincoln stretched their Continental to enormous proportions for 1958, creating what many consider the most excessive and ungainly sedan of the decade. The 1958 to 1960 Continental featured a 430 cubic inch V8 engine producing 375 horsepower. It had a massive 131-inch wheelbase and weighed over 5,000 pounds, making it one of the largest cars ever produced. The problem was everything about the size. At 229 inches long and 80 inches wide, it barely fit in most garages and was nearly impossible to park. Fuel economy was terrible, averaging around 8 miles per gallon. The build quality was poor, with numerous electrical issues and water leaks. The uncanted quad headlights and excessive chrome made it look gaudy rather than elegant. Sales collapsed, and Lincoln completely redesigned the Continental for 1961, making it smaller and more refined. These oversized Continentals represent the worst excess of 1950s automotive design. Number 5. 1957 to 1958 Chrysler Windsor. The 1957 to 1958 Chrysler Windsor was part of Virgil Exner's forward-look design philosophy, but these cars suffered from some of the worst build quality issues of the era. The Windsor featured a 354 cubic inch V8 engine producing 285 horsepower in 1957. It rode on a 126-inch wheelbase and weighed approximately 4,100 pounds. While the styling was dramatic with its soaring tailfins, the execution was rushed. These Chryslers suffered from terrible rust problems because panels weren't properly treated. The unbody construction developed leaks and squeaks within months. Electrical systems failed regularly. The torsion bar suspension, while advanced, was prone to problems. Paint quality was poor and chrome pitted quickly. Consumer Reports famously refused to recommend any 1957 Chrysler product due to quality concerns. These reliability problems severely damaged Chrysler's reputation and sent buyers fleeing to GM and Ford.
Number 4. 1958-1959 Oldsmobile Dynamic 88. The 1958-1959 Oldsmobile Dynamic 88 represented GM's rush to add more chrome, more size, and more excess to compete with Chrysler's forward-look cars. The Dynamic 88 came with a 371 cubic inch rocket V8 producing 305 horsepower. It had a 122.5-inch wheelbase and weighed over 4,000 pounds. The problem was identity crisis. DeSoto couldn't decide if it was competing with Dodge, Mercury, or Pontiac. The Fire Suite was basically a rebadged Dodge with more chrome and a higher price. Dealers were frustrated because customers could get essentially the same car as a Dodge for less. 1959-1960 DeSoto Fire Sweep. DeSoto was Chrysler's mid-price brand, positioned between Dodge and Chrysler. The Fire Sweep was their entry-level model, and by 1959, it was clear the brand was in serious trouble. The Fire Sweep featured a 361 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 295 horsepower. It rode on a 122-inch wheelbase and weighed about 3,900 pounds. The problem was identity crisis. DeSoto couldn't decide if it was competing with Dodge, Mercury, or Pontiac. The Fire Sweep was basically a rebadged Dodge with more chrome and a higher price. Dealers were frustrated because customers could get essentially the same car as a Dodge for less money. The wild 1959 styling with its eyebrow thins looked cartoonish.
Build quality continued Chrysler's problems with rust and leaks. DeSoto sales collapsed from 117,000 cars in 1957 to just 26,000 in 1960. The brand was discontinued after 1961, and the fire sweep represents the beginning of that end.
Number 2. 1958 Plymouth Plaza. Plymouth's 1958 lineup was a disaster across the board, but the entry-level Plaza was particularly bad. Plymouth was trying to move upmarket, but ended up abandoning their core buyers. The Plaza came standard with a 230 cubic inch inline six, producing just 132 horsepower. Optional was a 318 cubic inch V8 with 225 horsepower. It had a 122.5-inch wheelbase and weighed approximately 3,400 pounds. The 1958 Plymouth was dramatically larger and more expensive than previous models, alienating loyal customers who wanted affordable, reliable transportation. The styling was awkward with odd proportions and fussy details. Build quality was terrible with the same rust, leaks, and electrical problems as other Chrysler products.
And the worst sedan of the 1950s is the 1957 Packard Clipper. This is truly heartbreaking. Packard was once America's premier luxury car manufacturer, rivaling Cadillac and Lincoln. But after merging with Studebaker in 1954, Packard's decline was swift and brutal. The 1957 to 1958 Packard Clipper wasn't actually a Packard at all. It was a rebadged Studebaker President with Packard trim. It used a 289 cubic inch V8, producing 275 horsepower, riding on a 120.5-inch wheelbase and weighing about 3,800 pounds. Everything about these cars was wrong. True Packards had been hand-built luxury automobiles. These were mass-produced Studebakers with Packard badges stuck on them. The build quality was poor, the styling was confused and unattractive. They lacked the refinement, silence, and quality that the Packard name represented. Packard loyalists were outraged and refused to buy them. The automotive press called them frauds.